Well, hello there guys, and welcome back to some Terminal Conflict. I've really been enjoying this game, and I wanted to go ahead and do a Let's Play here for you guys. We're going to do an entire game, and we're going to be playing as the USSR, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. I will say, without a doubt, it is much harder to win as the USSR than as the USA. The USA just has a better starting location, more points initially, etc. So this is going to probably be a defeat, but we'll at least make it a very, very, very difficult win for the enemy. At least that's what we're going to try to do. So guys, without further ado, we're going to jump in here to War Games mode here in Terminal Conflict, and hopefully we can actually win the Cold War. Alright guys, so right now, just giving us basic information, one of the ways to win is to get 100 VP more than our opponent, or to have the highest amount of victory points at the end of 1991, and or to complete the space race. Now, I've never tried the space race victory. I'm guessing that's probably a good one to go for if you're playing as the Soviets, because you don't have a lot of starting locations. You can see the difference here in starting power, and it's just clear that the USA has a lot more than we do. That being said, we're going to confirm, and now we have to decide essentially what part of the world we want to focus on. Any number of different places could be good, but I generally like to go for a place that has an arms race. This way we can actually send in some military units and potentially destabilize the region a bit. I also want to look for places that have potential leaders to pick up, and right now I'm not sure there's going to be much, but I think South Asia is a great place to start. The problem is we have Disarmament here, but we also have Ho Chi Minh and other actual leaders, communist leaders, so I'm going to actually jump in here to South Asia. And sure enough, we've got Ho Chi Minh here, guys. So our first mission is going to be, number one, placing interest here, and actually we could probably bring revolution immediately to Vietnam. But I'm starting to think maybe we'll go ahead and bring it to Western India here, Nehru, and we'll let Ho Chi Minh here go ahead and bring Vietnam into our sphere by himself. Also want to do some focus management here on other things, primarily our weapon systems, as well as, of course, the space program. It's definitely something I want to focus on. So let's actually go, state affairs. Let's take a look at nuclear technology. Now, you can see we're actually going to lose some leadership here by going for this nuclear technology, but I'm still going to go for it. We can't go for space race yet, but we can go ahead and actually recruit Joseph Broz Tito in Western Europe. Thinking that might be a good idea, but I'm actually going to go for Wakiudi. This is actually one guy I know nothing about, apparently leader of Kenya, and I think this would be a good time to go ahead and try and essentially bring Africa to our side. One thing we're going to do is immediately institute decolonization. This is going to bring areas farther away from the USA, from the imperialists, and more towards our sphere. So one thing I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to use Vakuri to go ahead and bring these guys into the mix. It's just to start. There's the Gulf of Aden, and hopefully we take the rest of these areas. I think we can as well. Of course, our main focus should be Southeast Asia. It is time of jagged suffering and hardship among the ruins. Since the end of the Great Patriotic War, a Soviet military administration holds power in the German sector of the Central Europe Eastern Zone, seeking a transformation to a socialist society and reparations for the crimes that defeated the Nazi regime. Intelligence services sent from Moscow hunt out prominent Nazi offenders and scientists. We've also got the Leviathan Zone issue, guys, the British mandate, claimed by Jews and Arabs, and this is, of course, referring to Palestine and Israel. In this case, we want to go ahead and we want to try and increase influence as much as possible here, or we can actually boost our military. So I'm going to prepare for military incursions into the west, guys, although we actually also need support from the people, a little more than military right now. So I'm going to go for that, get that popular support, as it were, and we can actually bring some units in. I think we'll go ahead and try and send some tanks into Western Europe, or Eastern Europe, and actually, Western Europe, Western Germany, I should say. And sure enough, the enemy was waiting for us there. We've got to be careful. Okay, I'm actually going to go ahead and do Arab support. This will actually give us +2 influence in the Leviathan Zone, so we can already bring Libya into the mix here, and eventually get Egypt over here to join us as well. Again, this is a very early start, guys. You know, you're not necessarily going to be getting a lot right away, but in time, of course, you will. All right, so again, boosting the military. will be good, or jurisdiction is in the hands of a war crime tribunal. This will bring us support with the people, and I think right now that's really what's most important. I'm also going to go ahead and bring in some tanks to Iran, guys. Maybe we can start the Iranian Revolution a bit early here, and sort of promote our, I guess you could say, our ideology here in Iran. The truth is, though, quite frankly, that I'm going to go ahead and take away from the elites, that this won't actually be the Islamic Revolution. It'll be a communist revolution that never occurred, but this game is all about, you know, changing history, so, you know, don't be afraid to do that. Now we're going to see, guys, specifically who's going to get more points. We're getting 2, enemies getting 4, and of course this is going to continue going, but this really determines who's ultimately going to win. And without a doubt, they're going to be ahead of us initially, but hopefully we can change that. Okay, let's see. So areas that have disarmament going on, not the greatest to start in, but not necessarily going to affect us too much. East Asia is actually a great place to start, especially this early, and that's primarily because that's where we've got Mao Zedong. This is one area where you can get a tremendous amount of power. You really can, just by essentially trying to kind of exploit these different countries. Let's go ahead. Operation Balak. Despite a U.S.-declared embargo, Israel secretly requests to buy weapons and ammunition. So we could actually provide Israel some weapons and ammunition, and I think we are. This is going to get us support amongst the people as well as some political influence in the region. So I think that's absolutely the way to go. Now we had some disarmament here, and this is a really frustrating thing to occur. Essentially, they took away our tanks in this region, they took away our weapons, and to put them back in, we're going to have to slowly institute or reinstitute them. However, all of the actual weapons themselves, all of the weapon systems, they're going to remain right here for us to use later. Let's go ahead and grab this tank, Shenyang. And Shenyang province is now under our control. Of course, the Chinese Civil War is still going on, and that's why so many of the provinces in China are not under control of the Chinese People's Republic yet. That's going to take a little while. Could also use the KGB here, guys, to do some false flag attacks and potentially try to turn essentially areas, turn them to our side. And I think I'm going to go over here, and we already managed to actually have a successful false flag attack. And generally what a false flag attack is a violent attack, an explosion or something that's blamed on the opponent. Not necessarily a bad thing. I've never tried this, and that would be attempting to infiltrate North America. That would be fascinating. I don't know if I want to try, but we could start over here in northeastern Canada. It's essentially tundra, and see what happens. I don't think so. I think I have better things to focus on, specifically space race. Let's get started here.
We have launched our first object into space.
Glorious. And we can actually go ahead and pop one Perón here in South America. Or I think this is who we should go for. We're going to go for Nasser in Egypt. I think this is really going to be... Oh, wait a minute. Did we get him? Yeah. I think this is really going to be the best decision, is to go ahead and try and turn Egypt red. Or orange, however you want to look at it. We could also turn the Leviathan zone to our control. That would be Israel. So let me do that. I'm actually going to slowly bring them over to our side using Nasser. He's going to have more influence on turning Israel to our side than turning Egypt to our side. That's all right. Okay, he's fallen from power, but with that last influence, boom, guys. We've got David Ben-Gurion. Is it Ben-Gurion? Over here, one of the capitalist leaders. It's going to be a cause for concern in the future, but for now, we just want to continue taking over the Middle East little by little. Oh. Got a few submarines we can move in, as well as tanks. It might not be such a bad idea to go ahead and move some tanks in here. Let's do it, guys. This is in the Turkish Cypriot zone. Not exactly very important right now, but in time, it could actually have a lot of value. Okay, what to do, guys. So there we go. It looks like 6-11, 6-12. Yeah, the enemy's still winning. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But we're still going to attempt to come out on top here. So first things first, we have to choose the part of the world we want to start in. And I just want to look for a place that has an arms race. And actually, this would be a perfect one, South America. Problem is, I don't think we have any actual basing rights here, which would mean that the entire time we're here, we're essentially just trying to use the KGB to break through. And I don't know if that's the best way to go about things. Maybe we should go back to Southeast Asia and finish things up. And that's what I think I'm going to do.
Disarmament.
Now, some may think I'm focusing on areas that are not necessarily as important, and you might be right. But I think we're going to go ahead and wait and see. Because if we could take over this entire zone, that would actually be pretty valuable. It wouldn't be a bad idea at all. So we're going for Malaysia using Ho Chi Minh. No, actually Ho Chi Minh can't go for Malaysia. What he can do, though, what we can do, is do a false flag attack in Malaysia and slowly bring them to our side. We can also potentially have Nehru rise up in India, which would help us big time. All right, guys, let's get some nuclear technology. Of course, we're losing a lot of leadership by doing that.
Our bomber commands can now deliver nuclear strikes. We also have to go for the nuclear technology. And over here, we would completely lose our leadership. So I don't think I want to go for that right now. I think I want to be patient. All right, we're going to have Jawaharlal Nehru rise up. Indian icon, lawyer, and Marxist. And there we go. He's rising in power in Southeast Asia, which is exactly where we want to go right now. And maybe turn all of India communist. It's going to take a little while, but we're going to get there eventually, boys. I can promise you that. Here we go. Nehru with his final act in office before being assassinated by his own personal guard. Disarmament.
Oh, wait a minute. So we got some disarmament here in the Middle East. Definitely not a place where we want to have disarmament, obviously. And because of that, I will bring in a tank unit here in Iran. Okay, so with that last, unfortunately with that last bit of power, they're not going to be able to do much. They can't actually try to call for revolution in other countries if they only have one, which, too bad, but it is what it is. We will pass the regime of peace and love, which is slowly going to, of course, bring Afghanistan or any of these countries, I think it's randomized, into the mix. Oh, nice. We can actually bring in some tanks. I was worried we had none left. That being said, I think we should also probably go into our state affairs budget and purchase some more tanks here. Maybe even get some of these bomber commands. Not a bad idea. Let's procure some bomber commands. It's quite expensive. We're using essentially all of our money to purchase that, but I think it's definitely worth it. We'll go ahead and just give essentially more support in Vietnam. So there we go, guys. Once again, the countdown for points. How are we doing? We'll wait and see. To be honest, we're a lot more on par with the enemy than most of my other Let's Plays. And as I said, it's very hard to win as the Soviets. We're still going to try to spread our influence around the world, but it's going to be tough, boys. Alright guys, so of course time has progressed and some interesting situations here that I'm looking at. Specifically, really nobody has been going after Central or South America, and that gives us a chance here to potentially move into those areas. So I'm going to look here at South America. There is disarmament going on. It's not great, but I think there's a chance here for us to get some money. And what about Central America? Disarmament once again. Yeah, it's a tough one, guys. We could continue in the Middle East and try to, you know, sort of increase our power here. It's not necessarily a bad idea. Neither is trying to increase our power in Africa. So I'm actually going to go for Africa this time.
Disarmament.
And we can actually get a little influence here. Really nice. We can bring Madagascar to our side. I think we'll go ahead and bring Mozambique and Angola into our reach. Pretty standard situation for the KGB in Africa.
And now I want to see, can we expand the space race? We can, but at the cost of a leader, and we can't give up any leaders right now, guys, unfortunately. Perón, it's been too late. He's passed us by, and so has Fidel, I believe. So we might have actually lost the opportunity to do anything with Fidel there. We don't have any leaders that we can really pop around. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to jump into East Asia here, into China. I'm actually going to try to continue essentially setting up our units and trying to bring more areas under our direct control. We could also try and take South Korea, but that would begin a war with the West, I think, almost certainly. I'm also going to drop some of our nuclear bombers here in China. I think this is a good place to have them. It's a good place to sort of set them up. And eventually we want to use these skills, but we only want to use these skills once we've actually taken almost full control of China, really. At that point, if we have, like, essentially one region that's sort of going towards communism, and we use that skill, they'll all turn towards us immediately, which I think is pretty interesting. All right, once again, we're going to have to drop another unit here in Afghanistan. I didn't want to have to waste time in the turn having to drop units like that, but that's what disarmament does. Not much we can do about that. And actually, we might go ahead and drop the nuclear bomber here. Why not? That turn actually ended a lot faster than I expected. We spread some communism over here, but we still have a lot of work to do, guys. And you can see 1125, we're already getting to 1971 here. The game is progressing quickly, and at 1228, I have to say, I don't think that's too bad at all. Once again, guys, going into Africa, there is disarmament going around, but a tremendous amount of influence for us to spend, and that's one of the reasons I want to keep coming here. Just look at all these countries that we can essentially immediately turn towards our side. Essentially, almost all of Africa is becoming red. Unfortunately, by adding that influence around, we lose some influence elsewhere, and, you know, we can't do a lot in this actual region. I'm going to go ahead and get Alexander Dubček, and we're doing pretty well here. I mean, you can see this entire area is essentially under our control, but Dubček can actually try and bring West Berlin under our control, which would be a pretty weird situation, but could certainly work. At that point, all of Berlin would be ours. One has to keep in mind, though, many people don't realize this, is that West Berlin is not directly connected to West Germany. It's actually in the center of East Germany, but it's part of West Germany, if that makes sense. So it's pretty complicated here. We could also attack it, but that would trigger a global war. Let's see what the Ascending Titan would do. This would increase base chance of success for infiltrate, false flag, and assassination operations by 15%. Yes, we definitely want to go ahead and pop Ascending Titan. In the Warsaw Pact, all friendly controlled regions in this theater become dominated. Yeah, so this could be very useful if we get West Berlin to one communism, essentially. At that point, we could pop that, and it's going to turn communist. Interesting potential for the future, let's say, guys. So again, space race, really the issue there is just a lack of leadership. I don't think we should be going for that otherwise. So in Inner Mongolia, guys, we will continue the advance, and of course the influence here as we try to spread it around all of China. Bringing all of China under our control, of course, would be very, very useful. Look at that. We can actually bring in some command reserves, although I don't think we really need any more. Bring in maybe a sub. Yeah, let's do that. This is not a nuclear sub, so I'm not sure if it's actually going to improve our nuclear capability at all. Here in
Disarmament.
Let's try and increase. Oh, there we go. Potentially we could bring Castro. Let's see, guys. It'd be great to get Fidel Castro here in Central America. Unfortunately, no, we can't get him. It's too bad. Interestingly, though, we can still get Joseph Broz Tito or Enver Hoxha in Western Europe. And I think we're going to go for Enver immediately. Let's go check him out here. We're going to want to try and bring Italy under our control, or maybe West Germany. It looks like it's very much under Western control. They've really, really gone to great lengths to essentially turn that area to the west. So yeah, I'm going for Italy here, guys. And Italy actually had a period there in the 70s where there were a lot of communist splinter groups, or not mercenary groups, but sort of terrorist groups, essentially, that would set off explosions, etc. So this is certainly a possibility. There's that theater control. Oh boy. But again, at least we've got a leader finally. Alright, boys, we're moving into 76. It's getting a little late here in the game, for sure. I want to just keep on taking a look at these areas. We've got Disarmament. I really want to go for Western Europe. I'm going to go for it. Primarily because we can actually bring in some tanks here. No! We can't. Oh, please tell me we can change focus management. No, it is an arms race. Yes, we can definitely bring in tanks. Let's do it, guys. So we're going to bring in some actual units. We'll actually send them to Italy to just immediately start trying to bring the Italians under our control. We could even potentially get into France here, given some time. Southern Europe will be ours. And in South America, we can actually bring in the great Salvador Allende. I think I'm going to do that. It's actually my favorite leader of all time. But we could also bring in Idi Amin in Uganda, which would be very useful, and Pol Pot in South Asia. Yeah, I know it sounds brutal, and he is a brutal leader, but this would really bring South Asia under our control. I'm going to go for it, guys. So with Pol Pot, it looks like Vietnam has fallen out of control, so I'm going to go ahead and bring Vietnam again under our control. But we're really trying to bring Cambodia under control, and I think this actually encompasses No, Cambodia's there, actually, I'm right. Malaysia's here, Cambodia's here. So actually Cambodia could be taken over. And I'm going to do Revolutionary Socialism. This essentially gives us a few influence points to use. I think we'll immediately go for Revolutionary Socialism here in India. Beautiful. And the tragedy there is, because of that, we can't bring in Salvador Allende, at least not this turn. Maybe we can bring him in next turn.
Disarmament.
Okay, once again, disarmament in Central America here. And Alexander Dubček has fallen from power. Pretty much expected that to happen. I think what we'll do here is maybe do some false flag attacks. Try and mess up trade at the Panama Canal, but again, I think that's going to be pretty tough. However, we can actually do some revolutionary socialism here in Central America eventually. Maybe not this turn, but in time, I think we can. Okay, and there are false flag attacks. They worked once, but for the most part, they failed pretty miserably. And it looks like the USA might not be getting up to 100 before the end of 1991, which would be pretty cool, because that sets us up on just basically a versus in terms of points. And that's why we want to keep pushing our points here, and hopefully the enemy doesn't get past 50. We'll wait and see if that actually occurs. Okay. I'd really love to go for that space race, but I think it's pretty clear to everybody that we're not going to be able to go for a space race victory. That's just not going to happen. We could continue to take over South Asia, or we could continue to take over Sub-Saharan Africa, or even East Asia. And I think that's what we're going to do. This will allow us to have an arms race here, and continue trying to turn these people, basically, to support us. I can, of course, bring in some more tanks, and I think I will, over here in the west. Let's put this area completely under the People's Republic of China's control. So here in Tibet, we'll already start gaining influence, although most of you know that influence in Tibet was gained through use of arms. Unless you're a hardline Maoist, in which case you might disagree with that. Here we go. So yeah, this truly is an arms race, excuse me, in this particular sector. And this is where I'll actually use the ability here that should bring these two regions under our control. Brotherly orbit. Maybe it's only existing regions? Yeah, I guess so. Alright, we're going to do a false flag attack in Tibet. And once again, getting them a little closer to supporting us. But we're not quite there yet. Maybe one
Disarmament.
more turn. Alright, Central America. I think both sides progressed pretty slowly during this particular campaign. Just jump here to Africa quickly, guys. I think we can go ahead and use the decolonization boost. Yes, we can. And we can also bring in some command reserves, which I think we desperately need. And, of course, they're rising up in Somalia, a dreadful militia army rising up there, hopefully to support our interests. Okay, guys, once again, end of that turn. It's going to be, let's see if we gain any more bonuses, and I think we should. We have a lot of control here. I think the Middle East is the one place, Middle East and South America, that we totally ignored. Of course, I generally don't even ever go for Central America or North America. We do get Castro there, and you can do a lot with him, of course, but it's kind of more trouble than it's worth, to be honest. Okay, so we could potentially have Salvador Allende rise up here. Maybe. Alright, let's go into the Middle East. Let's go into the Middle East.
Disarmament.
And potentially we could have Bashar al-Assad, or it's actually Bashar al-Assad's father, and I can't recall his name. Or we could have Colonel Gaddafi rise up. So a lot of possibility here for our potential entry into this area. Unfortunately, we are running out of armored columns, and I think we should probably purchase more. But that's going to take away from a lot of other very important things. Let's see if we can have Colonel Gaddafi rise up in the Middle East. Once again, I think we have to wait just a bit. Hafez al-Assad, that's his name. And I think we'll also go for that tank. So let's get some army command here. Procured some army command. We should be able to drop these guys all over the country. We've actually got a tremendous amount of command reserves here.
Disarmament.
Alright, so Southeast Asia was just disarmed. I'm going to try not to even worry about that because it's already almost totally under our control. On we go, guys. So hopefully we'll bring Iraq under our control, and I'm not sure if we take these oil-rich states to the south, if that gives us any sort of bonus. It might not, although I think it should. I think it definitely should. Let's also drop our nuclear bomber here. Show the enemy we've got some bite. We could actually go for a nuclear victory depending on how we're doing nuclear-wise compared with the enemy. Here we go, 25, 54. I think we're getting to the end of the game as well, guys. Very close to the end of the game here. And that would be a USA victory with a nuclear launch. Also, I don't think, you know, we're trying to play this realistically. I don't think we would actually go for a nuclear war unless absolutely necessary. Let's go for East Asia.
Race.
It's our last chance to kind of gain as much support here as possible. So we'll bring Tibet under our sphere. And the province of Urumqi should be under our sphere too. However, Hosni Mubarak has risen to power in Middle East in Egypt, and that's a problem. That's a big problem. We don't need that occurring at all. I'm actually going to do a false flag attack in Israel-Palestine. And Syria, basically this entire region. It's not just Israel, Palestine, it's Syria, Lebanon, a lot of different areas represented here. And if we could have Assad rise up, that would be great. Then again, look at that. We could actually have Shea rise up in Bolivia, which might be even more useful to us. I'm going to have Shea rise up in Bolivia. For those of you that don't know, yes, Shea was part of the Cuban Revolution. Shea was actually Argentinian himself. As you can see, he has no power here. Just because of the massive enemy control, so lesson learned. But eventually what Che tried to do is he tried to export the revolution from Cuba to Bolivia, and it didn't go very well for him. Most of you know what happened. For those of you that didn't, I'll let you find out on your own. No spoilers. But yeah, sometimes when you try to spread revolution, it's not going to work out so well, boys. Interestingly enough, we could still drop some units in East Asia. Deng Xiaoping, which would be the leader of China, and I'm going to recruit him. Because we're actually trying to bring this whole area under our sphere, so why not? Why not? We'll see if he's got any power to influence neighboring areas, and I think he does, but not nearly as much as I expected him to have. Okay, enemies attacking us. Oh my goodness. The enemy is attacking us, guys, in North Korea. They have crossed the DMZ. We're going to move forward with our tanks and try to stop them. But that is a real pain, guys. I can't believe they would do that. Looks also like Benazir Bhutto has risen up in India. Or is it Pakistan? Apologies if I'm wrong on that one.
Disarmament.
And that could certainly bring India under the enemy's sphere. And it looks like they've gotten some support here, the capitalists in Africa, but look what happens when they rise up in a country that's already extremely communist with a capitalist ruler. He loses all his power right away. So I think that actually worked out for us really well. The fact that the enemy just lost their power quickly. We're going to bring in some units here. Well, please tell me we can drop them there. So we can actually expand along the Sahara here, essentially, and take all of these areas very quickly. See, he's fallen from power, done almost nothing, and here we go. Is this going to be it? This might be the final turn, guys. We'll see what the difference was here. We do have theater control in a lot of areas, which is fascinating. I did a lot better here than I ever did playing by myself. But, yeah, man, tough game. Really enjoyable, though. I think neither side really did very well in terms of the space race or nuclear technology. It looks like we might still have a chance here, a tiny one at that, to change things.
Arms race.
I'm going to go for Africa. And I'll show you guys why, but primarily just because we can get almost instant control of these areas. Here we go, guys. Beautiful. I believe that's Mali, am I wrong? That's Sudan. That would be Mali. Wow, great job on your African geography, Agrippa. There we go, boom. Again, I'm just taking over as much as I can. If I can go for decolonization, I will, but I don't think we actually can. I'm not sure if that's because there's not an arms race here or what exactly that's about. Here we go. Okay, there we go. Another push for decolonization. That worked out great, guys. And we're also going to be able to influence this region this turn as well. I wish we could take more control in the region, but I think that's going to be pretty much it. We'll go for one more power grab in Mali.
Disarmament.
Alright, let's go. Yeah, nothing we can do in South America. That is just complete waste of our time. However, I'm still going to try to change things here in East Asia, especially since the enemy has attacked North Korea. That's so frustrating. The false flag attack here in the Urumqi region. Looks like they're pretty hard people to convince. They didn't fall for any of the KGB's false flag attacks. Maybe it's a little easy to tell Russians from Chinese. I think perhaps that could be an issue. And actually, the Stalinists and the Maoists have never really gotten along. I think Maoism is a more agrarian, international form of socialism, or communism, I should say, whereas Stalinism is more, is more nationalized. I'm not sure of all the differences. For any of the tankies here, please feel free to give us a history lesson in the description down below. Okay, I think I'll go for another attack. Looks like somehow through that, Benazir Bhutto and Margaret Thatcher have fallen from power through that area. But it looks like we did a great job over here. We just completely ignored Central America and South America, which I think could have greatly changed the score. I still think we would have lost, but they really could have changed the score. We also could have gone to the Pacific Zone and messed around here with the Philippines, etc. But I've actually never jumped into the Pacific Zone. And there we go, guys. It is a defeat. A very, very, very fun Let's Play, though. And I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to hit that like button, comment down below, and of course subscribe to this channel. As you can imagine, doing this entire Let's Play takes a lot of time out of my schedule. But I wanted to make just one large video for you guys to watch all at once to see how the game plays out. And don't forget, there is multiplayer in this game coming, and you can, of course, also play as the USA. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you on the next one.